What do you think of being able to bring in guys for workouts this summer?
I actually thought it was awesome, and it's really good to see guys, especially this year where we couldn't go out to, even local Nebraska high schools. Some of these guys we've never seen in person, so just to be able to get them here, accurate measurements, we can get multiple watches on them in the 40, so it's not like at a camp where there's 800 guys running, and their position coach gets a chance to work them out. So I think it gives you a really good gauge on if you're considering that guy, wherever it may be, walk-on spot, scholarship spot. But I think it was really good. I hope they keep doing it.
What was the benefit for the players?
I think the benefit of the players is, instead of, I went to some of these mega camps where kids get 6 reps the whole day. I mean, these guys are getting worn out now. We're individual with them for, 25, 30 minutes, and they're getting as many reps as they can handle. So I think the benefit of them is to show what they can do in a one-on-one setting, and also maybe get to know their position coach a little bit, just to see how he coaches and how he does things.
It's just a one-year deal, as far as you know now?
I mean, everything's 1 year right now, so I think it's temporary. But hopefully it'll be permanent.
Do you anticipate Zoom being part of kind of your arsenal of younger guys, because Nebraska's situation geographically with where you might want to recruit in the Southeast?
I think Zoom is here to stay, not just in football recruiting, but in general. But I think it's, because you've always been able to FaceTime and those type of things, but the Zoom, we can prepare, some videos.
A little more slick.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually give them a feel of what Nebraska's really like, because I think we all know that getting a young guy to Lincoln is the most important thing we can do, so we can see the facilities and feel the town and all those type of things. And while you can't do that over Zoom, you can do a much better job of it than you can via telephone, text, and those types of things. So I think it is here to stay.
What was the feedback you were getting from recruits on how you guys were doing with Zoom relative to their other experience, that kind of thing?
I mean, from what I could tell, they loved it, and I think our recruiting department, everyone that was involved in that piece, did a great job of not overwhelming them, not trying to, shoot our whole shot on the first time, and setting them up so we could get weekly Zooms, and maybe one was academic and facilities, and one's football, and one's a coordinator talk, and one's with the head coach. So I think they did a really good job of keeping the kids interested and spacing the information out.
Are you you're still waiting for Weaver, right? Is he
Yeah.
the last one?
Yeah, Mekhi Gabayer is just graduating high school. I think he'll be in shortly, but those are the last 2 yet.
So the guys that have come in that weren't early enrollees, I guess this would be Wyndon and a few others. What are you, Brett's? What's your impression of them physically? And
I mean, they look the part, and they're down there with Coach Duvall right now. But I'm excited to work with those guys. I mean, Wyndon was the one guy who we hadn't really seen, either as a sophomore or junior, those types of things. And he came in the door looking like $1 million. So I'm excited to get to work with those guys. And I really like the demeanor of all the young kids we've got in.
Weird philosophical question. A lot of coordinators don't recruit near as much as you do. Why are you as involved with it as you, seemingly opposite of what we see elsewhere in college football?
I don't know. I like it. That's one reason. I'm also, I mean, let's be honest. When people play bad on Saturday, I'm taking the blame. So I need to have my hands on these guys and make sure we get the ones that we want, or help the position coaches. And I've also recruited a long time. I just know how it goes when you're talking on the phone with a young guy. They're young guys. Sometimes they get tired of you, you get tired of them. It helps when you can get another voice in there. I think it feels a little bit more like you're wanted when the coordinator and the head coach talk to you. So I think it's multiple reasons, but I just like to have my hand in it a little bit.
you mentioned, you've always been a guy that emphasized the 500 mile, and you recruit around here in Iowa too. But it seemed to me today too that maybe this is something you guys are embracing even a little bit more than you did when you came in and recruiting this footprint.
Yeah, and I think when you come and take over a program, there has to be some quick turnover. A lot of the guys we recruited in the first class were guys we had been recruiting at UCF and or had known about.
Yeah.
As we're getting to know these kids that are more local, the 500-mile radius or whatever, we're being able to recruit those guys, and we're also in a position where the roster, especially the starters, is young enough where now you can bring some of these guys in and develop them a little bit. And I think that there's a lot of great players around here that, you know, maybe need a year with us, and then they're gonna take off. But I think we put a big emphasis on that area.
Was the 4 Florida players leaving last year on defense, was that a turning point for you? Like, I don't want to go through this again?
I think once again it's a balance, right? It's not that I don't want to go through it again, because unfortunately that's college football, right? I mean, if the kid doesn't see the light at the end of the tunnel in about 7 months anymore, it's easy. We've made everything, the path of least resistance is lead. So I don't want to go through it, but we will. But I think it's all about balance. Can we balance out a really good player from Miami with a really good player from Omaha, and another good player from Kansas City, another good player from Sioux Falls, and as they come together, it's like we can do this. You know what I mean? But I think that's important, the balance.
You sense those guys have higher expectations for themselves?
Oh, I know they do. I think those expectations are very, very high. Personally, unit-wide and team-wide right now, coming from especially those older kids.
Fisher has said that he thinks you guys can have, at some point, one of the best secondaries in the country. Do you feel the same?
100%.
How far away from that do you guys think you are?
I think we're going to figure out who shakes out at that other corner, and if we can get that thing all squared away, I think he's pretty close.
When did you know Cam Taylor-Britt was going to be a special player? Not just good, but special in the way that he kind of embraced being a freshman and thrown in the way that he was.
I think you saw that when he was in high school, and I'm not saying he was going to be, we would know he was going to be that kind of corner, but he was going to be that player somewhere. I didn't know offense, defense, safety, corner. He just had that stuff about him when you went and watched him, and he's a special young guy, and he's got a lot of energy. And then, you know, the guys that are always the best when they're young, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be the best when it's all settled and done. But the best guys are afraid to go in there, or not afraid to go in and fly around, and they don't care if they make mistakes. They're going to do 1,000 miles an hour. They're going to do it with a lot of energy, and then they're going to try to make plays. And he just did that from the minute he came in. I mean, he took some lumps in practice and early in games, but he didn't care, and he went around and flew around a little bit harder every time he made a mistake. So I think those kind of guys, you understand, are going to be good early.
Are there any young players that, upon reflection in spring camp, you know, impressed you and could vie for more playing time and a really experienced defense?
Well, I mean, you got a young guy, Chris Kolarbic. You know, he comes out of virtually nowhere. Now I knew about him because my buddies are coaches at Northern Iowa, and they told me how good he was. But he comes into a program virtually unknown and kind of earns his stripes, and he did it the right way. He had his head down. He didn't he wasn't beating his chest. He wasn't tooting his own horn. He just went to work, and then the guys respected him. And all of a sudden, you know, is he going to be a starter? I don't know. Is he going to be a backup? I don't know, but he's going to play. Nick Henrich has been banged up a little bit, and he is playing as good as anybody on the football team for 3 weeks of spring football. I mean, all those corners, it's going to be interesting. The 2 young safeties, which I know you guys know about, but I mean, gosh, they're on the cusp of becoming really good too. They just got those 2 other guys in front of them, and then the young D linemen. You know, like Mosai Newsom's come along, Blaze has come a long way, Jamari Butler, you know, guys that we already know about. I'm not going to mention, but some of those young defensive linemen are really doing a nice job.
So you feel like this, you know, because you got a bunch of older guys, that the next wave is going to be just as good, or that's the plan?
Yeah, and I think that we're, you know, like you already mentioned, there's a transfer portal, and guys don't like to bide their time, but I think if we can get them all to hold their horses for 1 more year and continue to develop, I think we have guys that we can kind of influx into those spots.
Those high school seniors, about how many will come in and get individual workouts this summer?
You know, I think that we have, gosh, I want to say like 40 or something like that. But it's been kind of every week. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head how many there is. I know. So you know, it has to be an individual workout. So we can only have 1 per position in each session. So we've kind of been rolling 2 or 3 sessions whenever we've been doing them. I don't know, 3 or 4 times.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Joey Davidson.
All right, guys.